All right, today we are going to be having a little debate, vampires versus werewolves. First is worst, second is the best. Always remember that. So, titling means everything.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. But I guess that would mean that in Batman versus Superman, we were supposed to cheer on Superman.
We are.
Well, there we go. My point is already made before we even start the pod. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
today.
I just you can have the those you can have those small victories if you want.
You could have those small victories. I got the big gun saved up. Um, so yeah, today we're gonna be debating vampires and werewolves. I think
I already
probably
know the one thing that would win this argument in my eyes, in my brain.
yeah,
Let's see if we can pull it out.
like when they hand Thor a note or whatever it is, and he drops the hammer immediately and stops fighting because of embarrassment or something like that.
What's that from?
That's from I don't know. It's from some comic. I think it was Civil
Oh,
War.
Nick
Nick
Fury did
Fury.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't it that he's unworthy?
It's something like that. I forgot what it was. I think they revealed it during Original Sin or whatever it was. But yeah. So today we're going to be talking about vampires and werewolves, vampirism and lycanthropy if if you want to go to the
Lycanthropy.
lycanthropy, sorry. Anyways, we're going to be talking about lichens and vamps today. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. I think these entities have shown up all throughout history in different forms. I mean, you could say vampires have shown up as beings that have like sucked out the energy or been energy vampires to other people, and then you could say there have been werewolves in the sense that there have been shapeshifters or beings that could shift their look. Going back, at this time they were called werewolves. Now some people call them. Some people say there's
Skin
reptilians that do that.
and skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers, yeah, exactly. You don't have to look far to get any vampires or werewolves. We got energy vampires around today trying to suck out our energy through the television and through the radio, like an old man saying shit. They're sucking out our energy through the television and the radio. That's what we have to deal with in everyday society, and that's what we're going to be debating today. Which is better? I mean, I think there's way more vampire movies in general. And I know the debate's not just about movies, but I just want to say right off the bat, I think werewolf movies are more consistently good, but there's way more vampire movies. And some of them are
Think
better than
so.
the best werewolf movies. Some of them are worse than the worst werewolf movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like werewolf movies are usually consistently good, and if there's a movie with vampires and werewolves, I think it's usually consistently good. Like Van Helsing, for instance.
Hmm. Van Helsing tackles both things though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I
Wait,
mean
say
by that.
say what you said again.
I said that werewolf movies are usually consistently good, as well as vampire and werewolf movies where they're in the same movie.
Oh,
They're
gotcha. I didn't hear you say
usually,
that.
yeah, they're usually consistently good too. And I think it goes into something about the werewolf too. And there's a sense of mystique that you love about the werewolf and that's haunting and it's a cursed being, whereas a lot of the time vampires are cursed beings, but a lot of time they love it and they're the villain.
I think is also a key factor. You have to think about both these things. There's an inherent evil to vampires, and there isn't for werewolves.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. That's my point. Like werewolves are basically like cursed. they have to do what they have to do. Vampires typically are like they end up folding into their evil, whether they don't even start as evil, they typically become it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that like you could say the same thing about them. They're once they become a vampire, they're cursed. You could say that that makes them like eat like when you watch Sinners, right? As soon as they turn into a vampire, they're evil pieces of shit.
That is true, but a lot of the time that we see vampires, they turn into evil pieces of shit. But we do know that there's vampires out there who have willpower and won't turn into an evil piece of shit.
Absolutely.
But I think
Like those
predominantly,
same vampires at the end of Sinners. Actually, they're probably still evil. Never mind.
but well, what I'm saying too is that like at the same time, I think predominantly the amount of evil vampires there are to good vampires, that also lends itself to like vampires being more evil in general. Like I think vampires are more selfish entities because they do what they have to do and they have to be selfish in order to survive. Whereas I think werewolves, they're victims of their own nature, so to speak. Like they can't control what happens. Whereas vampires, I think, could find ways around it. Like we've seen like vampires that in fiction that want to go to like blood banks and shit like that and try to feed their their lust for blood, so to speak, other ways other than just through biting people. But predominantly, vampires
I
don't
think
do
it's
that.
like an equal exchange of willpower in that like sure werewolves seem less evil and they just have this like form that they have to hide and like lock away. Um and they really can't control themselves when they're a werewolf. I'd say that it might be harder for vampires because they are not some mindless, not mindless, but like this like ravenous creature that doesn't have a human brain, doesn't have a human like understanding. It like you can't lock yourself away as a vampire.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though, is that,
You have to fight through it somehow. Whereas
but,
like
but that's
you
what I'm
can lock
saying.
yourself away as a werewolf.
But that's exactly what I'm saying is
Well,
a
I'm
lot
saying
of
that's easier.
vampires, a lot, but that's kind of, but I think it's easier to figure out multiple solutions. The only solution a werewolf has is to lock himself up,
Yeah, but
whereas a
think about how
vampire
like
has so many
all you
different
need is a
solutions.
place. All you need is a strong place with a lock, and bam, you're good.
Yeah, but
And you
there's
can even
no
hide the
like
you can even hide the key in the cell you're in because your werewolf self is gonna be a fucking wolf and just not know what to do. But
that's
you
true, but
can't lock yourself away as a vampire.
there's no telling that that's even going to work. But as a vampire, you can get around all that. You can choose to to go after like vampires tend to like go to like blood banks and like steal blood and do crazy
You make
shit
that
like
sound
that.
easy.
I'm not saying that is easy, but for an immortal being that needs it to survive, I think it would be easier than just a string of murders and
No, absolutely.
succumbing to your evil. You know?
That's the curse. Like you really have to fight. All I'm saying is that just because vampires have a history, a small percentage of them fighting against that curse and not being pieces of shit, werewolves are overwhelmingly people who lock themselves away and they mostly don't hurt people and then just bad things happen to make it so that they do end up hurting people.
Yeah, that's I agree with that completely.
Now, but do you see what I'm saying in that most werewolves are locked away? That is what they do.
Yeah, but that's
I,
their only
in a world,
solution.
in a
Vampires
world
have
where
so many
listen,
solutions.
listen, I'm not done. In a world where there's vampires and werewolves, way more often is it that vampires are just hurting people and doing awful things against their better nature because they're cursed by their new. Did I say werewolf? I meant vampire. Hold on,
I thought you
let me
said
say that again.
vampire, but
No, I think I just got confused myself. Let me say that again. In a world of vampires and werewolves are werewolves are killing people a lot less.
I know.
And it's because there's way more werewolves keeping themselves locked away and figuring out how to live with their curse than there are vampires that are learning to live with their curse and not hurt people. That's
I
way
agree
rarer.
completely.
So it's way I think it's much more difficult to be a vampire than it is to be a werewolf. If you're thinking of yourself as like in terms of like not being horrible, not like losing yourself to evil.
That may be true, but I still think that the idea that you only have one solution is a lot harder than the idea that you have so many different solutions. Like,
What's so many though? Like it's not many solutions for vampires. They just have to find blood from elsewhere. And often in like different fiction, the blood of animals and all that shit, it's like not as good. Like it satiates them a bit, but it's not what their hunger really draws them to.
yeah, but yeah, true. I guess one thing that you could say about vampires is it's a never-ending battle. And with
Yeah.
werewolves, they only have to worry about certain nights.
Now, I'm just saying, we're arguing about who has it off worse. When at the end of the day, we're debating about which one's better. Which one would you rather be? So it's okay. I just think it would be harder to be a vampire, but I would still rather be a vampire than a werewolf.
Yeah. I would still say it's not harder to be a vampire than a werewolf, but I still want to be a werewolf too because I don't know. I ever since I was a kid, I always liked werewolves. As a kid, I thought the idea of vampires and werewolves were cool because you could live forever as a vampire or something and shit like that. But
And what's
as I
so
got
cool about a
older,
werewolf?
it's you get superhuman strength a lot of the
When you're a
time.
wolf,
A lot of fiction, they have superhuman strength even when they're not wolves.
okay, all right, I'll give that to you. But really, like superhuman strength, really?
You could also say that in some fictions, they've learned to control their power too. But I guess you could
Like
say that
what?
about vampires too.
Yeah, if that's the case, then what you were saying earlier doesn't make sense.
Well, I guess I'm looking at it from both perspectives because both are inherently true in
Mhm.
fiction. But let's see. I don't know. I'd also like the lifestyle of a werewolf a little more. You go out into a
It's just
cabin.
yeah, the lifestyle of a werewolf is just somebody who lives in a rural area, and then you can do whatever you want as long as you just take care of that one night a month.
Yeah, that sounds right up my alley.
Fair enough.
Let's see. I don't know. I,
It's
I
gonna
would
be
love
hard to
this.
top live forever.
It's what is it?
It's gonna be hard to top live forever.
Well, I think I was actually what I was gonna say earlier about living forever too is that is a very narcissistic thing to want to do. Like and that's why I thought as a kid that would be a cool thing to do. Because as a kid you think living forever is awesome. But then as an adult you're like, no, nobody can live forever. If there were vampires walking around living forever, that would just lead to the downfall of humanity.
Nobody can live forever is just like the sad thing we have to accept. I think most people are just like, yeah, but nobody can live forever, you know?
Nah, I think living forever would be a detriment on society too, but it's also
Yeah.
like if I was
I
gonna
think
be
we
a
move on.
werewolf too, if I was gonna be a werewolf and I was gonna age naturally, then I would still have that superhuman strength. I would still age gracefully. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Sure. So have you seen the show Altered Carbon?
No.
So it's pretty dystopian, so it might not be the best example, but like it's a pretty good example of just us developing to the point where we can live forever. And I think it's very possible. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I think just it's a whole new way of life.
I think it's gonna suck. Have you ever heard of it's a short story or a novella, I guess you could say. It's called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Yeah, isn't that about that's about a computer program or some AI that like tortures a human forever?
Yep. So what it basically is you live forever and you're able to feel all this immense amount of pain, but you can't express it or you can't,
You
channel it
say
out
that's just like
or to
from
anybody.
living forever, but it's not just from living forever. It's because
No,
of
it
an
is
AI
it's from
overlord.
yeah, but I'm also equating that AI overlord to life. Imagine if you
No,
were
that's
living
not fair.
forever. Imagine if you were living forever and
That's
life was
a
just battering you down generation after generation and you had
You don't know
nobody
that.
to
Like,
express it
dude,
to.
I would be like Vandal Savage. I'd just constantly be plotting. Be like, here, well, all
I'd
right,
be
next plan.
constantly plotting.
I'd be constantly just on the move. Next thing, oh, that didn't work out. All right, time to start a whole new family, whole new dynasty, a whole new 1,000 years of history for the world by my seed.
By my seed, that's crazy. But I guess vampires can have kids, so that works.
Is that true?
I mean, some of them have.
Some of them have. In Twilight, they do, right? You know all about
Yeah.
Twilight.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Twilight, best example of why vampire movies aren't as good as werewolf movies.
Twilight is a vampire and werewolf movie.
I would argue way more of a vampire movie than a werewolf movie. The first one
I
had
would
no
disagree.
werewolves in it. The first one had no werewolves in it
The very
whatsoever.
first one, but the whole it actually does. It does have werewolves in it. You just don't know
It
that they're
has a
werewolves.
guy, yeah, yeah. It does have werewolves in it, but they don't become werewolves. In New Moon, the second one, they
Actually, I think
become
the
werewolves.
werewolves do appear. I could be wrong, but I think they do appear.
Maybe in
Just werewolves and
flashbacks.
werewolves in that movie are just giant. They look like giant dire wolves.
Yeah, no, they do, but it's in New Moon. It's in the second one.
The second one, I think, is where you find out, like that Jacob is turning into a werewolf, and you see more of the werewolf side. I think that is true. But I
Yes,
think in the
but
first one, you know that there's werewolves.
yeah, but then they go back into like being all about vampires for the most part until the last one when the werewolves have to defend Bella from because she's having a kid or whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Listen, it's definitely more of a vampire movie, but this is a vampire and werewolf movie. Okay, so much
way
so that
more of a vampire movie.
like I, the first one alone, but the franchise is both.
Hey, I would argue the first one is the worst one.
I don't know. I've only ever seen the first one.
Oh, I guess they're whatever. But maybe somebody can comment down below that knows Twilight can tell us if there were in fact werewolves in the first one besides just appearing as humans. I don't remember any werewolves
We could look that
whatsoever.
up real easily.
No, I want the audience to
We need to boost our engagement.
yeah, I want the audience to interact. You know, one like one prayer for the man from Kentucky.
Yes,
He's still out there doing his thing.
and like if you're waiting to hear about how he's doing, then you might as well just like hit the bell just to keep up to date and know when any new information drops about his condition.
Hit the bell. Yeah, definitely all of that and you'll find out real soon how the man from Kentucky's doing. Yeah, so werewolves rock. That's where we're at, right? Werewolves are better than
Werewolves
vampires.
totally drool, actually.
Hey. Vampires
Literally.
drool, werewolves
No,
rule.
no,
I
no.
called it.
Werewolves drool all over themselves because they're just filthy dogs.
Well, vampires
Whereas
drool all over
vampires are elegant.
themselves because they want as much blood as they can. They need it to survive. So they
They
drool
don't
all the
drool.
time.
They just don't.
They do. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe because they're dead. Vampires are dead. So maybe they don't drool because they're dead.
You might think they're dead,
Most of them are
but we don't
dead.
know.
They're either dead or diseased.
I believe it's a curse.
That yeah, but they're most likely the undead. That's what they're described as.
Often.
Yeah, werewolves are not described as the undead.
No, they're not undead. That's fine.
Exactly. They're alive, they're cool, they're kicking, they're good. Vampires are dead.
They're alive. They're cool. Being alive is cool. Yeah, tell that to anybody and watch them laugh in your face.
Being alive is cool. I mean, being alive is great until you're not. Maybe that's getting too deep into it. Being alive is great though, you know. I would rather be a werewolf and just have to deal with my condition than be some dead ghoul walking around that has to keep blood in order to not, vaporize in the sun.
I need blood to not vaporize in the sun, but don't you just need to eat anyway to not die after like just a week?
That's just being a person.
That's what I'm saying.
I would rather just be a normal person.
It's just like, oh, now instead of it being like, now I just have to eat blood, like probably like once a week, and I'm good.
You don't have to once a week. Most of the time, they're like, I need it like the next day. If they
I
don't go
mean,
more than like a
I
couple
don't know if
days
that's
without
true.
it, they're like, I need more.
Vampires can sleep for a long time. I feel like they could probably just binge and they'll be good for a while. And then,
They could probably just binge.
seriously,
I don't know about that.
if I was a vampire, I would definitely just drink animal blood, but I would prepare it like a mixologist and
If
just
I was
make it
a
as
va-
good as possible.
Jesus.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying. You're
I would
taking
make
it there.
I would make the blood good to make it more satisfying for myself.
Well, you know what?
And
If I was
then,
a werewolf, I would lock myself up and not let myself harm another living being.
well, I mean, you're gonna harm a living being like every single day when you buy Taco Bell.
That's just, I'm harming myself at that point.
No, you're harming all the animals needed to provide that to you.
So you're saying a vampire is good because they don't need regular food to survive, so
I'm just saying
they're,
it's the same. It's not that different at all.
it is pretty different to have to go
It's
around
not
murdering
that
people
different.
and then to just deal with factory farming as society does.
I'm just you tried to make it a moral dilemma that I'm hurting an animal, whereas like I'm just saying I can get it. You can just get animal blood. You don't have to. I don't have to slaughter an animal myself.
I'm not making it a moral dilemma. I'm just saying that, well, I
You
guess
just
maybe I
said that
was.
like you don't have to hurt a living animal to eat.
Yeah, because it is kind of a moral dilemma. I wouldn't want to
So
hurt a
it is a
living
moral
thing.
dilemma, okay? And I'm saying it's really not because I'm also just getting blood. Like I'm just getting animal blood. You're just getting ground up animal meat. I'm just getting animal blood.
I don't know about that.
It's pretty simple.
How you getting this animal blood, may I ask?
Butcher,
All right, that makes sense.
easy.
All right. Yeah, it's the same old.
Like I told you before, I get my blood from a butcher. I don't know
Anyways,
why you're laughing. You do see how my setup could be perfect, though, right? Come on. You
I
get your animal blood. You get all the ingredients that you
just
need to
don't
like
want to be
spice it up.
dead.
I mean, it's like you can call it that, but like that's just what people say. Like you don't know that they're dead.
You know, maybe it's a curse where being a werewolf, but there's a point where maybe you can seek out and attain redemption.
That'd be sick.
It would be. I don't know if you can seek redemption as a vampire. You just have to kill the one that made you. That's how I've seen it. That's how I've seen it.
What about Blade? Wouldn't it be awesome to be Blade?
Yeah, but that's a super special circumstance to be a daywalker, man.
It's fair, but daywalkers are still vampires, and isn't it? Wouldn't it be cooler to be a daywalker than a werewolf?
I guess so. I I don't know about that. No, no, it wouldn't
No.
be. No,
Okay, why?
because you still have to figure it out. You have to be some kind of scientist in order to figure that shit out.
What do you mean?
I'm pretty sure doesn't Blade have like his own artificial like blood that he uses to keep himself alive that he
Probably.
made in a lab. So, you know, that's the Blade situation.
Yeah, but I would just do my situation instead. I would just do my blood
Yeah, but
cocktails.
then you're not a daywalker, man.
Well, I'm saying I could be a daywalker and do that.
Well, actually, you would be because his thing was that his mom became a vampire and was born with him while she was a vampire or something like that. But he was a human, so he became
I
half
thought
human, half vampire.
I thought he was just like the seed of a vampire and a human woman.
No, I thought it was I don't know, half vampire hybrid. No, his
He
vampiric
was
nature
definitely
stems
born as it.
his. This is what I was saying. His vampiric nature stems from his mother's attack by the vampire Deacon Frost while she was pregnant with him. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so you're right.
That's the only circumstance that you can become a daywalker, and that's really hard. And the only benefit of becoming a daywalker is that you're out during the day. That's it. There's no other benefit. You still have to like drink blood. He just figured out like a thing with the blood.
Daywalkers aside, again, it's cool. Like that's a daywalker is a cool version of vampire. People could end up as daywalkers, so that is a possibility for some people. So it's still a factor, but I still don't need to be a daywalker to think it's cooler to be a vampire. But I just think it's interesting that like there is a cool version of a vampire that, again, is also cooler than a werewolf. Even more so cooler than a werewolf.
I don't think it's cooler than a werewolf. Werewolves are cool.
I don't think it's cooler than a werewolf. Werewolves are cool.
Werewolves were literally the coolest part of Twilight, a whole franchise mostly about vampires.
Dude, this guy loves Twilight.
Hey, Twilight's not that bad.
Whoa. Okay.
Hot
Fair
take.
enough.
Hot take.
Fair enough. I'll take it.
I'll
I'll take
take
that
it.
and put it in my
It
pocket.
does. It helps your cause in a way, in a weird way. Werewolves are way better. I would much rather be a werewolf.
Give me like another argument for why werewolves are way better. Something else you haven't said yet.
Well, it's just to me, it's just like, you get all the benefits of being like a superhuman, and you can kind of figure it out with control. It's like being the Hulk, but it's
It's
a
not
little
like there's
more.
no werewolves that get to be the Hulk. There's no
No, but
when you
that's
were
what I'm
talking about
saying.
werewolves becoming superhuman, they might have like slight physical enhancements.
It's not slight. A lot of the werewolves end up becoming really like physically like capable. Even as humans, they end up becoming really like capable.
No, the werewolves can be super strong, and the humans can be advanced strong too because of those instincts and those like animalistic beast-like nature kind of
Yeah.
blending in with their human side. But they're nowhere near the Hulk.
No, but I'm not equating the Hulk level strength. I'm talking about I wasn't talking about the Hulk level strength. I was talking about the fact that you as a person have to battle with this other side that could unleash and become some kind of ravenous monster.
It
And
sounds horrible.
it does, but you know what? The Hulk is a good example of somebody that when he figured it out, he could control it. And a lot of other beings that end up becoming Hulk-like entities end up being able to figure it out and control it. Same thing with werewolves in Marvel. Jack Russell ends up figuring out how to control his transformations. So I would say at a certain point you'd be able to go zen and figure out how to control it, especially if you're like more of a good guy. And a lot of werewolves tend to be
Yeah.
just people stuck in shitty situations, so maybe they're really good.
I'll hit you with this. You get better strength enhancements as a sentient being. I'd say werewolves probably have a slight physical strength advantage, but vampires have everything else in the bag. And in the same way, where you could
Like
just like
what?
overcome those violent natures and just be
What
like
else do they have
zen,
in the
like
bag?
they can fly, they can control minds, they have super speed, they can essentially go invisible, they can become one with the shadows, they can do all their sorts of magic. Live forever.
Again, that sounds awful.
Well, to each their own.
And the magic thing, all that depends on the depiction of the vampire. And
All right.
in
Well, what you
saying
said
that,
depends on the depiction of the werewolf.
yeah, and there's much more things that are involved in that I didn't mention that you could get from a werewolf too.
Like what?
Well, the super speed thing too, that falls for a werewolf.
A
Lie
werewolf just has like
detection,
enhanced speed, dude. Like that's probably at max like a panther or like a leopard.
acute senses, lie detection, healing factor, natural weaponry, supernatural endurance.
Yeah, sounds like a werewolf.
I would
Now
much
look
rather
up.
have those things.
Now look, dude. A vampire has all those things.
Head reattachment. Vampires don't have that.
Wait, werewolves have head reattachment.
Apparently, that's one of
In
their
what
abilities.
old film did that happen?
Head reattachment. I don't know, but that's what it's listed on the
I
werewolf
think I think vampires
superpowers.
do have head reattachment or some sort of way
No, they
because
don't. That's one of
I
the
feel like
ways that you kill a vampire is that you detach its head.
I think
That's
most I
that's
thought most
lore.
versions of vampire I think most versions of vampires that's not a way to kill them, but I could be wrong.
No, dude, that's lore. Supernatural lore is like godlike.
Look up how to kill a vampire right now.
All right, how to kill a vampire. A wooden stake through the heart, decapitation, or fire.
Okay. All
Well,
right,
there
there
you
you go.
go. Well, sunlight and holy water are common weaknesses.
I
Other
will say
methods include
vampires do
exposure to
have
running
more
water.
weaknesses.
Listen to this. Other methods include exposure to running water, silver,
That's not true.
or sacred objects like crucifixes.
Yeah, that's like crucifix is like a mild kryptonite to vampires.
You also have to let vampires in. Werewolves can just go in wherever they need to be.
Well, I'll also say that I'm not, as a vampire, I'm not gonna be like just murdering people and going around trying to do bad things. So
Well, then
I'm okay with.
why do you need invisibility if you're not going to do bad things? What good can come of
What do you
invisibility?
mean? If something ever happens to me and I need to become invisible to get away,
I guess so.
it's super handy.
You could just
Pack of
fly at
werewolf
that
shows
point.
up, I could just go invisible and survive.
Pack of werewolves shows up.
Go invisible or fly away.
They come in, they're like, hey, what are you doing in our side of the town? They start snapping. They got their leather jackets on. They flip them up. They're like, you vampires shouldn't be over here, see?
And I just turn to a bat and I say, "Oh, sorry, I was just flying over the whole city. Didn't mean to land in this trash."
Didn't mean to land in this trash. That's right. You better fly away, fly boy. Yeah, so I would hate to turn. See, that's the thing is you transform, you do, vampires do transform, but typically they transform mostly into bats, which is
They
lame.
can turn to a lot of things.
Yeah, but
Bat is just
mostly
often
bats.
used. No,
Mostly
I mean,
bats.
vampires can fly without transforming. And vampires can transform into like demon forms that are like just as strong as a werewolf.
I would not want to look like what that vampire demon form looks like. I would never want to look like that ever in my
I think it'd be
life.
sick.
I would be ashamed to look at myself in the mirror and I'd be happy that I wouldn't even be able to see my own reflection.
You don't think you look grotesque and disgusting as a werewolf?
No, I would just look like a beautiful wolf.
This
Wolves are
guy's a
beautiful.
furry.
No, I would just
This
be
guy's
like
a
a
fucking
beautiful,
furry.
majestic wolf. I would be out there running around in the woods and getting into all kinds of I'd be running around doing all kinds of crazy shit, running around in the woods, mostly just running. That's what I would be doing if I was a free open werewolf.
You would just be running through the woods while spellbound. While let me say it again. You'd just be running through the woods while Spellbound is playing in the background.
Yeah, that's what would be happening. Or some sort of Katy Perry song, because we all love Katy Perry on this podcast, who's dating Justin Trudeau and was spotted on his yacht.
Congratulations to them.
Anyways, yeah, I significantly love werewolf movies way more than vampire movies. They're so much better. The level of quality is always there.
But as you said before, like some of the best movies ever made out of any movie are vampire movies.
Yes, in many traditional vampire myths, early folklore, running water is indeed considered a weakness or barrier to vampires. Oof, that's
Oof,
sad.
dude, I don't need to worry about that. I would
There's
just be
running water
flying
everywhere.
over it. I should be flying over it.
No, you wouldn't be able to go over it.
That's not dude, that's not true.
It's an impasse, man. Do you think you can just fly into people's houses? No, you have to be invited in.
I didn't say that. I
No, but I'm
definitely think I can
saying
fly. I definitely think I can fly a mile up in the sky and fly over some running water.
I don't think so. It's an impasse.
Look that up. Like how did Dracula fucking take a boat ride?
Would the vampires be able to fly over the water? In most Eastern European and Balkan legends, the rule is absolute. A vampire may not cross running water. That meant no flying, no jumping, no swimming, and no boats. Nothing.
Yeah, but that's just not how we look at vampires now.
Running
Like
water created a kind of
I'm
spiritual boundary, not
I'm
just a
going off of
physical one.
Dracula rules.
By the time of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the rule softened to he may not cross the running water save at the slack or the flood of the tide. This means Dracula can cross water, but only under certain tidal conditions, or if transported. The emphasis here is more on limitations of timing and ritual rather than absolute law. Flying over water then might still be forbidden, except when the tide permits or when he's contained in his native earth, which maintains his connection to unholy ground.
Yeah, but you can definitely take a boat ride.
Yeah, but that's because he's being transported, like they're saying. That's why it was a thing.
I'm yes, taking a boat ride is being transported.
I even remember that in the book is that he had like some like dirt from from it with him in his coffin that he had to take with him to keep him grounded.
That's fine. Yeah, just carry this shit on me.
Just carry that shit on me. Okay, Dracula.
Oh no, Dracula has to take a boat. So would you if you wanted to cross water.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have other people take me across. I wouldn't
Oh
have to
yeah,
deceive
oh
people in
yeah.
order to do it. I would just
You
do
would
it.
take your boat. You would drive your boat.
I would if I was a werewolf, I would probably have a boat, yes.
No, you wouldn't. Why would you have
Yes,
a
I would.
boat?
Because I would live out in the woods, away from society and trying to figure out my shit. So I would have a boat. I would have everything.
You wouldn't have a fucking boat.
I would totally have a boat. I wouldn't have a helicopter, but I would have a boat.
Listen, we're talking about yes, you are a vampire, but you're still you. There's no way you'd have a fucking boat.
If I was a vampire, then I would do things that are within my vampire way to make get money. Same thing
You mean
if
werewolf?
I was same thing as if I was a werewolf. I would do things that I would attain, value from being a werewolf, and I would find ways to be lucrative with it. So I would get that boat.
Wait, are you gonna be like a werewolf fisherman? Is that your next Halloween costume?
Werewolf fisherman would actually be a good one that we didn't mention. Satanic fisherman also.
That's a terrible one.
Vampire fisherman. Yeah, honestly, werewolf fisherman works the best out of all those. He's just a wolf guy with like a fisherman hat, and really out of all these, I would want to be a witch the most though.
Well, that's not what we're arguing.
I know. I'm just throwing that out there.
I think we'd both rather be a witch.
I think we'd both rather be a witch.
Cue the spellbound music.
All right, do you have any last thoughts or anything
Oh, I'm not.
else?
I'm not even close to done, dude.
Go ahead. I think you've made my case from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
You
listeners
think
will
this whole time everything I said was rooting for your side and actually making your side better?
yeah. I think at least two-thirds of it.
No way.
I think so. I think the listeners will decide on that one. You want to be a Dracula and just go through a lot of work in life and never go out into the sunlight.
I don't need this. I already don't go out in the sun.
I mean, sunlight's great. I love the beach. I don't want to just go to the beach at night. Sounds awful.
Dracula can go to the beach. He just has to bring an umbrella.
No, he would instantly flame up.
Edward Cullen wouldn't.
Edward Cullen never went to the beach. He would just sparkle.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Dracula rules, though, like you said, you would flame up if you went to the beach.
I think I'll rest my case with the end of Sinners and just look at how happy those two vampires are at the end of that movie. They're just like they couldn't think of a better way to be. They got no problems.
They got no problems.
Seriously.
I think there's some issues.
I feel like traditionally people who are werewolves, when you see them, they're very like scraggly, nervous, depressed people.
Scraggly. They're misunderstood. That's the
No, they're
issue.
definitely nervous and depressed. And vampires have a good time.
Vampires have a good time. That's because they're always emotionally and mentally manipulating people. That's why vampires are having such a good time.
Is that what Blade does?
No, but he's a daywalker, and we're not talking about daywalkers.
Daywalker just means he can go out in the daylight.
Would you be a blade vampire? You'd make the artificial blood for yourself too?
No, I told you if I was a daywalker, I would still do my cocktails, my blood cocktails.
You'd still succumb. I know you would.
You think that?
Yeah, you'd succumb to the hunger.
And I know if you became a werewolf, you'd lock yourself away even when you're not turning into a werewolf. You'd be too scared and feel so dangerous. Feel like everything's gonna fall apart.
Well, that's definitely true. That's regardless of whether I'm a werewolf or not, that's true.
But if you were a vampire, you'd have the confidence to handle your problems.
No, I would still lock myself away and I'd probably get ghoulish if I became a vampire.
You'd probably just get more eccentric and you might lock yourself away a little bit more and you might like get a little bit more ghoulish, but you'd be eccentric and you'd have like more hobbies and I think you'd have more fun.
No, I would not have more fun. I'd be like the kids in American Horror Story that become vampires. That's what I would be.
You'd be like one of the What We Do in the Shadows vampires. How am I wrong about that?
I would not be a What We Do in the Shadows vampire. I would.
Why not?
They're too wacky.
That's you.
No, I'd be all like freaking out about being around people.
You would do that too.
No, being a vampire would suck. Being a werewolf would be great. Then I could pick and choose when, I could do things. Oh, look at that. There's no full moon this week. I can do whatever I want. I only have to worry about that one night a month. That's it. I'd rather do that than be dead.
I'm not dead.
You are if you're a vampire.
That's what you think. You want to know the only thing that would push me more toward wanting to be a werewolf than a vampire? The one
What?
thing that I think could have won this argument for you.
My argument's already won.
I'm sure you think that, but I'm talking about in my eyes.
What is it?
Vampires are more often so much so that a lot of people think Jeffrey Epstein is a lot like Dracula.
I would not have done that to you.
I know. But think about it, right? Edward Cullen, hundreds of years old, falls in love with a 16-year-old. Who else? Like I feel like the age difference thing and living forever makes it creepy for you to have a relationship with anybody who's like under 100 years old. At a certain point, like once you're over 100, you probably should be like aiming for 50-year-olds and up.
I think that's true. Yeah. Vampires, well, that's part of why I think living forever would suck, is that everybody that you could ever trust is gonna die unless they become cursed like you.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is, of course, I'm actually going to turn everybody.
Well, then that's awful.
I mean, if that's what you think, but I'm just helping us, like, go into the next stage of humanity.
No.
Yes.
Vampires suck.
Werewolves drool.
No, vampires literally suck.
Yeah, and werewolves literally drool.
Some of the time.
Whenever they're a werewolf. Whenever they're in werewolf mode, they're drooling.
Vampires always suck.
No, only when they're feeding from a human.
Even when they're feeding anything, not just a human.
No, because I could just drink blood out of a cup.
You'd still be sucking.
No, I wouldn't. I would just be drinking.
You'd be sucking that blood out of that cup.
That's what you want it to be.
No, that's what you'd be doing.
Do you every time you drink from something, do you suck?
I let it wash down my throat.
Is that how you drink? Do you only drink with straws?
No, but if you were a vampire, you would, because you wouldn't want anyone to see your vampire teeth, so you'd have to drink with a straw.
What do you
Boom.
mean? I'd be proud of what I am.
And then people would kill you. Like that would happen immediately.
I wouldn't be looking at the world stuck inside my house, looking through the shades.
Yeah, and then somebody would come with some silver or a running river, and they would attack you with it.
Nah, silver's your problem.
No, silver's your problem too, buddy.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true in Skyrim or in Witcher.
No, that's just
I guess
true
that's just the
in
same for
Legend.
all monsters.
Yeah, silver's amazing. Silver fights off the monsters. But, all I'd have to do is just get some guy to just like throw a bunch of crucifixes at you and then push you out into the sun and boom, you're dead.
Oh, yeah, that's that easy, huh?
It is.
It's not.
It is. It's super easy. You got to catch me with that bullet, son.
Dude, it's so easy to kill vampires. It's like they're mosquitoes, really.
Exactly.
That's what you sound like.
That's what it is. It's super easy to kill vampires.
Really?
It is.
Okay.
I would much rather be fighting against a vampire than a werewolf. 100%. 100%.
A werewolf is just an animal. You can outsmart an animal.
It's a really fucked up wolf. It's a huge wolf.
Yeah, but it's still an animal that you can outsmart.
I think I have a better time fighting against some creepy ghoulish person than I do a fucking ravenous animal.
Not just a creepy ghoulish person. It's a person that has all the strength of that werewolf, more agility and magical powers.
Yeah, but all I have to do is wear a crucifix around my neck and boom, you got nothing.
You wear a crucifix around your neck, that just means they back off for a little while, and then they just curse your life and haunt you until they get a chance to kill you.
What I would do as soon as they try to back off, I would hunt them down with a crucifix and a stake and some silver and a running brook. I would take that running brook with me all times.
You would Google vampire hunters in my area, and you would tell them, like, hey, I think there's a vampire.
And I would rally them all together, and I'd be like, here, guys, come with my running brook.
You wouldn't rally anyone together.
Yeah, I would give them all stakes and running brooks to go with.
Do you think you could rally people together? Is that how you think about yourself?
Yeah, I would tell them all to come towards the running brook, and that's where I'll be. and that's where we will fight the vampires
I
together.
wouldn't. I just wouldn't be over there.
No, you wouldn't because there's a running brook because you can't cross it. Boom.
I would just be on a boat already, just like leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
I would just be paying old gold, ancient gold coins, just handing
While I
them out.
come with all the with all the well with while I come with all the vampire hunters ready to just come and burn that boat down.
But how would you do that? We're on a boat already gone.
I would tell Trump that that boat has cartel and it's heading to Venezuela.
Do you think Trump is on the werewolf side? Honestly, it's and again one of the few things that would turn me away from being a vampire. But Trump's definitely with the vampire.
Are you sure about that? Because Trump acts pretty irrationally and pretty spastic, and he tends to act pretty paranoid and
Nah, man.
jumpy. So that's a pretty werewolf thing to do, to be pretty jumpy and paranoid like that.
In no way is Trump a werewolf, and I don't know why you want him to be a werewolf.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying, like you described him earlier, where you described werewolves earlier, and you're just, you could describe the exact same thing as him.
I don't think a were. First of all, if Jeffrey Epstein is like Dracula, why would Donald Trump hang out with him if he's a werewolf?
Because werewolves and vampires can be friends sometimes.
No, they can't. Shut up.
And if I tell this werewolf Trump that there's a boat coming out of the harbor and it's got this really
Dude, werewolves stink like piss and shit, and I don't want them near me.
if I tell this werewolf Trump that there's a boat coming out of the harbor that has some fucked up vampire that we couldn't catch, he would blow that boat out of the water. Or better yet, like I said, I would tell him it's going to
You'd be like, oh,
Venezuela.
wait, hold on a second. This is a wealthy white immigrant coming from a wealthy country? No, leave him alone.
No, he wouldn't
That's
do
what
that.
he would say.
I would tell him that they're trying to immigrate to Canada and trying to get away from his policies, and he would immediately just go to town on that boat.
No, he wouldn't, dude. He'd smell the piss and shit all over you, and he'd say, "Get the
He'd
hell out
smell
of
the
here."
piss and shit all over you. Get this werewolf out of here.
If Trump was anything, he'd be a vampire. He's not. I don't think he is, but he's definitely not a werewolf.
You know what? He is definitely a vampire. I 100% agree with you. Trump is a vampire. You got that right.
Yeah,
I would
all right,
never
that's
want to
fine.
be
Yeah, like
what.
I said
Yeah,
before, it's
yeah,
one of
you're
the
right.
few
I would
downsides.
never want to be what he is, and he is definitely a vampire. So you got that on lock. I wouldn't want to be what he is. So you're right. You're right. He is a vampire.
I also wouldn't want to be 2 steps away from being a homeless person, so I would definitely wouldn't want to be a werewolf.
Hey, I'd rather be 2 steps away from being a homeless person than 2 steps away from being Trump.
I think that's a reach. 2 steps from being Trump because I'm a vampire? Are you saying
I don't-
Blade is 2 steps away from being Donald Trump?
I didn't say that. You just did.
I'm at like then why would I be 2 steps away from being Donald Trump?
Because you're a vampire. He's a daywalker. There's a difference.
Okay, so you're saying that
Yeah.
Morbius is 2 steps away from being Donald Trump?
Yeah, I'm saying Jared Leto and Donald Trump have a lot in common.
Not Jared Leto, the cool comic book version of Morbius.
No, I'm saying the TV movie version of
Yeah,
Morbius.
well, that's not what I'm saying.
That's Jared Leto, and he is just like Trump in a few different ways. I don't want to get into it here, though, but look it up. Jared Leto's not a great guy, and his band sucks. He also looks like a vampire, and that also wins my case.
Listen, vampires are just like people, and there's good and bad vampires.
Yeah, Jared Leto is the worst vampire. I don't want him on my team. You can have him.
Fine, you could be a thrall. See, vampires have the ultimate power on their side.
Death by sunlight.
No, you have the ultimate ally.
Brainwashed fools.
In a way,
That's all they have is just brainwashed idiots. I'd rather have a dog.
stopping you from having a dog if you're a vampire.
They're gonna hate me because I'm the undead, and dogs hate the undead commonly.
I would just hang out with it anyway. Until
No,
likes
it
me.
would hate you because you're evil and
I'm not
inherently
evil.
you are. You're the undead. The undead is inherently evil.
Is Blade evil?
No, but he is the undead.
Is Morbius evil?
Yeah,
No, he's not.
the whole movie's evil.
I'm talking about the character.
I mean, he can be.
Is Batman from Gods and Monsters evil?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you wouldn't. So shut the fuck